So our next project is once again about value, but we're going to be doing it in a different way. So I want you to think about this question. What is value? I'll give you a few seconds to think about that. Value is the design element used to make a two-dimensional object appear three-dimensional. So essentially, it shows the object in darks, lights, and midtones. As you can see on the bottom, there is a bowl that's in full value. You can see the shadows, which are the dark areas. You can see the light areas, which are the highlights. And you can see the midtone areas, which are like those grayish areas. So besides thinking about value for this project, we're going to also be thinking about form. Form refers to the overall form or shape taken by the work, its physical nature. Okay. It also can refer to the element of shape among the various elements that make up the work. Essentially, what this means is if your object has length, width, and height, okay, it's almost like it has volume. Therefore, it will look like it has form in art. So we are creating an object today that has value in it, but also has form. What you will be doing is you will be taking an ice cream cone and you will be creating it in a complete value scale. But the twist with this project is we are doing our artwork on black paper. So that means that our values that we're going to be creating are going to be in white with a white charcoal pencil or a white colored pencil. So you have to really think about how do you create light values on a dark piece of paper rather than doing the opposite like we did in the project previously. The goal of this lesson is to achieve realism. You want to have your three-dimensional object, which is your ice cream, look as if you can lift it off the page or the composition. Realistic representation of a drawing, that's what you want. So let's examine value with a white charcoal pencil or a white colored pencil. It is important to use a value scale as you create your artwork. This will help you if you have all the values represented in your artwork. Also, all references and a reference is broken down into shapes and values. As you observe and then draw different value shapes, ask yourself a few things. When you're looking at your reference photo, what kind of shape are you drawing? Is it organic or geometric? Organic means that it's really free-flowing and it's not a shape that you can name, whereas geometric are shapes like squares, triangles, circles, things like that. Also, think about what is the value of the shape. Where does it fall on the value scale? Is it on a 1, which is the lightest, or is it closer to a 7, which is the darkest? Also, think about what kind of edge does the value shape have? Is it a very hard edge? Is it a soft edge? Is it crisp? Is it a good, easy transition? Or does it just go from light to dark very quickly? These are all things to think about when we are adding value with white. Your first step is to create a value scale. Remember, it is important for you to use a value scale because you want to make sure that all of the values are represented in your artwork. Use the value scale that we created or that we have on Google Classroom that is in black on white paper, and you're going to do the exact opposite with white charcoal on black paper. You can either use a white charcoal pencil or a white colored pencil. It's up to you. So there are two options you can do to complete this part of the project. You can print out the value scale reference sheet right off of Google Classroom and just fill in the black value scale that is on the bottom, which is also on the top of my screen right now, with white charcoal or white colored pencil. Or you can do what I did, which is what I did is I printed out the regular value scale that's on white paper, which you can see on the bottom portion of my slide here. And then I took a black sheet of paper that I cut very skinny and I just created 7 squares. And what I did is I tried to match the value within each square that is on the top value scale, which was done on white paper. Okay, so you have the choice of what you want to do here. After you do the value scale, it's time to go to step 2, which is choose a reference photo. Choose a reference photo of soft serve ice cream and make sure that it's in black and white. You can choose the reference photo off of Google Classroom or you can find your own, and then make sure you print it out or at least you have a copy of it in front of you. Step 3 is to start your contour line drawing. Remember contour lines? We went over this a while ago when we created our hands. So begin to draw a contour line drawing of the ice cream on black paper with either a regular pencil or a white charcoal pencil or a white colored pencil. It's really up to you for that part. You can use either or. Remember, contour line drawings are quick and they are just the outline of the object we are creating. Remember to draw light until you've got it right, and make sure you have your value scale reference in front of you, just like seen on the picture. Okay, so step 4 is going to begin by adding value. Let's take a look at how Ms. Parlow starts to add value. Then we'll talk a little bit more about what some tips are when we add value with white charcoal or white pencil. So you should have your contour line drawing like I have shown you here. Another thing you should have is you should have your reference sheet, which you will be looking at all the values. You should also have your value scales up in front of you just so that you can match what you see on your reference sheet or your photo to the value that's up on your value scale. Remember, the darkest value is just going to be left completely blank because it's going to be the darkest value. So that's going to be the color of your background paper or the paper that you're using. And then the lightest value is going to be when you apply the most pressure with a white pencil, a white charcoal pencil, or a white colored pencil. Take a look at the values that you see on your screen. Try to match them with the values that you are looking at on your reference sheet. It's important to use all of these things in order to create a realistic version of an ice cream cone. In order to start, what I like to do is I like to layer in values very lightly. So I will be showing you how to do that. As you can see here, I'm starting to use my colored pencil or my charcoal pencil in a circular motion. I'm creating values and trying to match them on the reference sheet by just creating very, very light layers of white. Remember, it is best to start light, and then you can always build up the value or the lightness because it's very hard to erase charcoal pencil. It sometimes leaves a smudgy, slimy almost feeling and waxy feeling. So it's important to just start very light until you've got it right. So I'm going to complete a time lapse of the rest of the drawing. Just remember, as I am doing this, you want to keep your pencil sharp the entire time, okay? And you really want to use light layers in a circular motion. You can even do the background if you choose, or you can just leave it black. It's really up to you. But you want to show all the curves and all the ridges of the soft serve ice cream cone. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm looking forward to seeing your work. Okay, so some things to remember. Here's the logic behind this process of creating value with white charcoal or white colored pencil. When working with graphite pencil, like we did in the previous project, you add darker values by pressing harder to create the dark values. But when we are working with white colored pencils or white charcoal pencil on black paper, you press harder to add more layers of white colored pencil to add lighter values. Remember, you press lighter to make the darker values, and to make the darkest value, you do absolutely nothing. The black paper is the darkest value. Here are some other tips just to remember. Keep your pencil sharp. Dull pencils and dull colored pencils or charcoal pencils make it really difficult to create crisp, sharp edges on value areas. Use tiny circles to lay down light layers of value. Avoid heavy, liney strokes, as these are difficult to blend out. Create a value scale before beginning your ice cream cone. And remember, always draw lightly. You can always add more value, but it is tough to erase white charcoal and white charcoal pencil. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.